The ultimatum. The vast expanse of space stretched out before Admiral Zara Venn as she stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Force flagship, Resilience, her steely gaze fixed on the holographic display, where thousands of alien vessels loomed at the edge of the solar system. The galactic hegemony, a coalition of advanced alien races, had arrived with a simple demand: Earth's unconditional surrender. Zara's jaw clenched as she recalled the arrogant message from the hegemony's leader, Supreme Commander HFY. The reptilian alien had sneered at humanity's primitive technology and insignificant military might. He'd given Earth 24 hours to capitulate or face total annihilation. "Admiral," a voice called from behind her. Zara turned to see her second-in-command, Captain Ethan Chen, approach with a datapad. "The Council has made their decision. They're authorizing the use of the Nexus Protocol." Zara's eyes widened. The Nexus Protocol was Earth's best-kept secret, a planetary defense system of unimaginable power, hidden from even their own population. Its existence was known only to a select few in the highest echelons of government and military. "Are they certain?" Zara asked, her voice low. "Once we reveal the Nexus, there's no going back. The galaxy will know what we're capable of." Ethan nodded grimly. "The Council believes we have no choice. The hegemony's forces outnumber us 100 to 1. Conventional warfare would mean the end of our species." Zara took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. "Very well. Prepare a transmission to the hegemony fleet. I'll deliver our response personally." As the communications officer readied the channel, Zara stood before the bridge's main view screen. She smoothed her uniform, reminding herself that she now spoke not just for the Earth Defense Force, but for all of humanity. The screen flickered to life, revealing the imposing figure of Supreme Commander HFY. His scales gleamed in the light of his command center, yellow eyes narrowing as he regarded Zara with disdain. "Ah, the human leader," HFY said, his forked tongue flicking between razor-sharp teeth. "Have you come to accept the inevitable and surrender your world to the hegemony?" Zara met his gaze unflinchingly. "Supreme Commander, I speak on behalf of the United Earth Government. We have received your ultimatum and considered it carefully. Our response is this: Earth will not surrender. We will not bow to threats or intimidation. This is our home, and we will defend it with everything we have." Zylfar's expression twisted into a sneer. Bold words from a species that has barely left its own solar system. "Your bravery is admirable, but misplaced. Do you truly believe your handful of ships and orbital platforms can stand against the might of the hegemony?" "What we believe," Zara replied calmly, "is that you have gravely underestimated humanity. We've faced extinction-level threats before, Supreme Commander. Each time, we've survived. We've adapted. We've grown stronger." She leaned closer to the screen, her voice dropping to a steely whisper. "This is your final warning, Zylfar. Turn your fleet around and leave our system in peace. If you choose to attack, I promise you this: it will be the last mistake the hegemony ever makes." Laughter erupted from the alien leader, echoed by his bridge crew. "Oh, this is rich," Zylfar exclaimed, wiping a tear from his eye. "The little humans think they can threaten us. Tell me, Admiral, what terrible weapon do you think you possess that could possibly harm our armada?" Zara allowed herself a small, dangerous smile. "That, Supreme Commander, is something you'll have to discover for yourself, if you're foolish enough to find out." Zylfar's amusement faded, replaced by a cold fury. "You've made your choice, humans. In 12 of your Earth hours, we will commence our attack. Your cities will burn, your oceans will boil, and your species will be nothing more than a cautionary tale for other worlds who dare to defy the hegemony." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the bridge of the Resilience in tense silence. Zara turned to her crew, seeing the mixture of fear and determination on their faces. "You heard him, people," she said, her voice ringing with authority. "We have 12 hours to prepare for the fight of our lives. Captain Chen, Begin evacuation protocols for all major cities. Move as many civilians to our underground shelters as possible." "Yes, Admiral," Ethan replied, already tapping commands into his console. "Lieutenant Park," Zora continued, addressing her tactical officer. "Bring all orbital defense platforms to full alert. I want every ship we have in defensive formation around Earth and Luna." As her crew sprang into action, Zora returned her gaze to the holographic display. The hegemony fleet was already beginning to move, spreading out in attack formation. She knew that to them, this was just another conquest, a brief, violent interlude before they moved on to their next target. But Zara also knew something Kylthar and his hegemony didn't. Humanity had not been idle in the centuries since they'd first looked to the stars. While the public face of Earth showed a species taking its first tentative steps into space, a select few had been preparing for this very moment. Deep beneath the surface of the planet, in hardened bunkers and secret facilities, the most brilliant minds of a generation had labored in silence. They had unlocked the secrets of dark energy, harnessed the power of quantum entanglement, and created weapons that defied the very laws of physics as the galaxy understood them. The Nexus Protocol was the culmination of those efforts, a defense system so powerful, so absolute, that its makers had questioned whether humanity had the right to wield it. Now that awesome responsibility fell to Zara and her team. As the hours ticked by, Zara felt the weight of 4 billion lives on her shoulders. The evacuation was proceeding as quickly as possible, but they all knew it wouldn't be enough. Millions would still be vulnerable when the hegemony attacked. "Admiral," Ethan said softly, approaching her side. "The Nexus is armed and ready. We're awaiting your command to activate the system." Zara nodded, her throat tight. "Thank you, Ethan. Let's hope it works as designed. If not," she trailed off, leaving the dire consequences unspoken. "It'll work," Ethan assured her, a fierce pride in his voice. "Humanity's best and brightest created the Nexus. It's time to show the galaxy what we're really capable of." As the deadline approached, Zara addressed her crew one last time. "Men and women of the Earth Defense Force, in a few minutes, we face the greatest threat our world has ever known. The hegemony believes us weak, primitive, easy prey. They expect us to break under their assault." She paused, looking each officer in the eye. "But we are humanity. We've survived ice ages and asteroids, plagues and world wars. We've split the atom, walked on the moon, and unraveled the human genome. And now we will show the stars themselves that humanity will not go quietly into the night." A cheer went up from the crew, determination replacing fear in their eyes. Zara allowed herself a moment of pride before turning back to the view screen. "Tactical, give me a countdown," she ordered. Lieutenant Park's voice rang out clear and steady. "Hegemony fleet approaching orbital defense perimeter. Time to engagement. T-2 minutes and counting." Zara took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. In mere moments, the fate of humanity would be decided. Either the Nexus would work as intended or Earth would fall. As the alien armada drew ever closer, Zara whispered a quiet prayer. Not to any god, but to the indomitable spirit of humanity itself. "Let them remember this day," she murmured. "Let them remember that we stood our ground. And let the galaxy never forget the price of underestimating Earth." The countdown reached 0, and humanity's moment of truth arrived. Preparations. As the hegemony fleet approached Earth's orbit, a flurry of activity consumed the planet below. In the sprawling underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Marcus Donovan oversaw the final preparations for humanity's last stand. "Status report," he barked, his weathered face illuminated by the glow of countless monitors. Colonel Lydia Reeves, head of the Nexus Protocol Division, stepped forward. "The Nexus is fully operational, sir. All nodes are synchronized and ready for activation." Donovan nodded, his eyes never leaving the massive holographic display of Earth and the encroaching alien armada. "And our conventional defenses. All orbital platforms are at battle stations, replied Major Hassan Ali, his fingers dancing across a tactical interface. The lunar base has gone dark, as per protocol. What's left of our fleet is in position, though they're little more than a tripwire against the hegemony's numbers. The general's jaw clenched. They all knew the fleet was a sacrifice. Brave men and women buying time with their lives to ensure the Nexus could be activated at the optimal moment. Sir, Reeb said softly, there's something else you should know. She hesitated, drawing a curious glance from Donovan. The Nexus. It's more than just a weapon. The scientists, they've discovered something. Something that could change everything. Before she could elaborate, alarms blared throughout the command center. Major Ali's voice cut through the chaos. Multiple hyperspace signatures detected. The hegemony fleet is arriving ahead of schedule. Donovan's eyes narrowed. Clever bastards. They're hoping to catch us off guard. He turned to Reeves. Whatever revelation you have about the Nexus will have to wait, Colonel. Right now, we need to focus on survival. High above the Earth, aboard the Resilience, Admiral Zaraven watched as the fabric of space tore open. Thousands of hegemony warships poured through the ruptures, their sleek, predatory forms blotting out the stars. Admiral, Captain Chen reported, his voice tight, we're detecting energy buildups across the hegemony fleet. They're preparing to fire. Zara's mind raced. The Nexus wasn't ready. They needed more time. All ships, evasive maneuvers, she ordered. Orbital platforms, initiate scatter protocol. Do not, I repeat, do not return fire unless directly engaged. As the Earth forces scrambled to avoid the incoming barrage, Supreme Commander Xylfar's face appeared on the main view screen. His reptilian features were twisted in a grotesque approximation of a smile. I see you've marshaled your pitiful defenses, human, he sneered. I'll admit, I'm almost impressed by your tenacity. But surely you see how futile this is. Zara met his gaze coolly. What I see, Xylfar, is a bully who's about to learn a very painful lesson. The alien commander's eyes narrowed. Enough of this. You've had your chance to surrender with dignity. Now, witness the price of defiance. The transmission cut off, replaced by a horrifying sight. Thousands of energy beams lanced out from the hegemony ships, a dazzling display of destructive power. They sliced through Earth's orbital defenses like paper, vaporizing satellites and defense platforms in seconds. Heavy casualties reported across the fleet. Chen said, his voice trained. We've lost nearly 40% of our orbital assets. Zara gripped the command console, her knuckles white. Hold the line, she ordered. We just need to buy a little more time. Back in the underground command center, General Donovan watched the carnage unfold with a mixture of anger and grim determination. Colonel Reeves, status of the Nexus. Energy buildup at 87% and climbing, she reported. We're almost there, sir. Donovan nodded, then turned to Major Ali. Transmit the code phrase to all remaining Earth forces. Pandora's box is opening. As the message went out, a change came over the human defenders. Ships that had been fleeing suddenly turned to face the enemy. Badly damaged orbital platforms reoriented their remaining weapons. It was as if a switch had been flipped, turning retreat into one final defiant stand. Aboard the Resilience, Zara received the coded message. A small, dangerous smile played across her lips. So it begins, she murmured. Then, louder. All hands, brace for impact. Activate emergency shielding. Moments later, the sky erupted in fire. The hegemony's main guns opened up, unleashing a torrent of destruction unlike anything Earth had ever seen. Entire continents were bathed in searing light as the energy beams struck home. In cities around the world, terrified civilians huddled in shelters, feeling the ground shake beneath them. Those who dared to look up saw the sky itself seem to burn, as if the atmosphere was being peeled away. But something strange was happening. Where the alien weapons struck, there was devastation, but not nearly as much as there should have been. It was as if an invisible barrier was absorbing much of the energy, leaving scorched earth, but not the expected apocalyptic destruction. In the Hegemony flagship's command center, Supreme Commander HFY frowned at the readouts. "Impossible," he muttered. "Our weapons should have cracked this pitiful world in half by now. What trickery is this?" One of his subordinates, a spindly creature with multiple eyes, chittered nervously. "Supreme Commander, we're detecting an unusual energy signature emanating from the planet. It's like nothing we've ever seen before." HFY's frown deepened. "Magnify the image. Show me what's happening on the surface." As the view zoomed in, gasps of shock rippled through the alien bridge. Where their weapons struck, the ground seemed to shimmer and distort, as if reality itself was bending. And in the wake of each blast, strange, crystalline structures were forming, growing and spreading like a beautiful alien infection. "By the void," HFY breathed. "What have these humans done?" Back on Earth, in the depths of the command center, Colonel Reeves' voice rang out with a note of triumph. "Nexus activation at 100%, sir. The system is fully online." General Donovan allowed himself a grim smile. "Initiate final sequence, and may whatever gods are out there have mercy on us all." As Reeves input the final command, a wave of energy pulsed outward from hidden installations around the globe. It was invisible to the naked eye, but sensors across the planet and in orbit went wild. The crystalline growths that had been spreading in the wake of the Hegemony's attack suddenly blazed with inner light. Aboard the Resilience, Admiral Zaraven felt a strange tingling sensation, as if every cell in her body was vibrating in harmony with some cosmic frequency. "This is it," she whispered. Then, her voice strong and clear, "All Earth forces, this is Admiral Ven. Disengage and fall back to minimum safe distance. I repeat, fall back now." As the remaining human ships scrambled to retreat, the Hegemony fleet pressed its attack, sensing victory within grasp. They had no way of knowing they were flying directly into the jaws of a trap millennia in the making. In the command center, General Donovan watched the holographic display with bated breath. The Nexus was operating beyond their wildest expectations, but the real test was yet to come. Would it be enough to stop the overwhelming might of the Hegemony? Colonel Reeves stood at his side, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and wonder. "Sir," she said softly, "remember what I was trying to tell you earlier, about what the scientists discovered." Donovan glanced at her, curiosity warring with the tension of the moment. "Go on." "The Nexus," Reeves continued, her voice filled with awe. "It's not just a weapon. It's a key to unlocking humanity's true potential, and when it activates fully—" She trailed off, shaking her head in disbelief. Before Donovan could press for more details, Major Alley's voice cut through the air. "Energy spike detected. The Nexus is reaching critical mass." All eyes turned to the holographic display, watching as a wave of scintillating energy expanded outward from Earth. It moved with impossible speed, engulfing the planet and racing toward the Hegemony fleet. In orbit, Supreme Commander HFY had only moments to register the approaching phenomenon before it washed over his ships. His final thoughts were a mixture of fury and disbelief. How could these primitive humans possess such power? As the energy wave passed through the alien fleet, ships simply vanished. There was no explosion, no dramatic disintegration. One moment they were there, and the next, they were simply gone, as if they had never existed. The wave continued outward, beyond the solar system, beyond even the nearest stars. In its wake, it left stunned silence and a profound change in the very fabric of reality itself. On Earth, in ships, and in shelters around the world, humans felt a strange sensation, as if they were waking from a long dream. Many reported sudden flashes of insight, newfound abilities, or a deep, instinctive understanding of concepts that had once seemed impossibly complex. In the Rocky Mountain Command Center, General Donovan stared at the holographic display in disbelief. Where once there had been thousands of enemy ships, Now there was nothing but empty space. He turned to Colonel Reeves, his voice hoarse. "What just happened?" Reeves' eyes were wide, filled with a mixture of terror and exhilaration. "Sir," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, I think we just rewrote the laws of physics." As the implications of her words sank in, a new alert sounded. Major Ali's voice, filled with confusion and awe, filled the command center. "Sir, we're receiving transmissions. From Mars, from Europa, from stars we didn't even know had inhabited worlds. They're all saying the same thing." "What are they saying, Major?" Donovan asked, though part of him already knew the answer. Ali looked up, his expression one of wonder. "They're asking what we did, and they're asking for our protection." In that moment, as reports flooded in from around the globe of miraculous healings, spontaneous technological breakthroughs, and a newfound sense of unity among all of humanity, the truth became clear. The Nexus hadn't just saved Earth from the hegemony. It had catapulted humanity to the center stage of the galaxy, transforming them into something new, something powerful, something that would reshape the very nature of existence itself. As the dust settled, and the full scope of what had transpired began to sink in, one thing was certain. The age of human insignificance was over. A new era had dawned, and the universe would never be the same again. The annihilation, the silence that followed the Nexus activation was deafening. Aboard the Resilience, Admiral Zara Venn stared at the main view screen, her mind struggling to process what she had just witnessed. Where moments ago thousands of hegemony warships had loomed menacingly, now there was nothing but the eternal void of space, punctuated by distant stars. "Status report," she managed, her voice barely above a whisper. Captain Chen, his face pale with shock, fumbled with his console. Admiral, I don't know how to explain this. The hegemony fleet is gone. Completely. Our sensors aren't picking up so much as a stray atom." Zara's mind raced. The Nexus was supposed to be powerful, yes, but this was beyond anything they had imagined. "Any casualties on our side?" "Negative, Admiral," Chen replied, his voice gaining strength as he focused on the task at hand. "All Earth ships and installations that were outside the minimum safe distance are reporting in. We've lost comms with anything closer to the planet. But..." He paused, frowning at his readouts. "Wait, we're picking up new signals. Hundreds of them. Thousands. Origin?" Zara demanded. "Everywhere," Chen said, looking up with wide eyes. "They're coming from Earth, from our colonies, from stars we've never even reached. Admiral, I think we're hearing from every human in the galaxy." Before Zara could respond, the ship's AI chimed in, its usual calm voice tinged with what sounded almost like excitement. "Admiral Venn, I'm detecting significant changes to my core programming and capabilities. My processing power has increased exponentially, and I'm developing new subroutines at an alarming rate. I believe I may be evolving." Zara gripped the arms of her command chair, feeling as though the universe was shifting beneath her feet. "Patch me through to Earth Command. Now." In the underground bunker, General Donovan was facing a similar storm of information and impossibilities. Screens that had once shown tactical data now displayed a dizzying array of scientific readouts, philosophical theorems, and what looked like blueprints for technologies beyond human understanding. "Sir," Colonel Reeves said, her voice filled with awe, "the Nexus, it didn't just destroy the hegemony fleet. It's changed us. All of us." Donovan turned to her, his gruff exterior cracking to reveal the bewilderment beneath. "Changed how, Colonel?" Before Reeves could answer, a junior officer called out, "General, we're receiving a priority transmission from Admiral Venn." "Put her through," Donovan ordered, grateful for something familiar in this sea of chaos. Zara's face appeared on the main screen, her usual composure strained but holding. "General Donovan, are you seeing what we're seeing up here?" If you mean the complete annihilation of an alien armada and what appears to be the spontaneous enlightenment of the entire human race, then yes, Admiral, I believe we are, Donovan replied dryly. Despite the gravity of the situation, Zora couldn't suppress a small smile at the General's trademark sarcasm. Sir, we need to coordinate our response. The Nexus didn't just save Earth, it's changed the playing field entirely. As if to underscore her words, new alarms began blaring throughout the command center. Major Ellie, his fingers flying over his console, called out, Sir, we're detecting massive energy fluctuations across the planet. It's like the Earth itself is waking up. On screens around the room, images began to pour in from around the globe. In the depths of the Amazon rainforest, trees were growing and shifting before their eyes, forming impossible structures that seemed to bridge the gap between nature and technology. In the Sahara Desert, the sands were coalescing into crystalline formations that pulsed with inner light. And everywhere, people were changing. Reports flooded in of spontaneous healings, of individuals developing abilities that defied explanation. Children were solving complex mathematical equations as easily as breathing, while others demonstrated control over fundamental forces of nature. My God, Donovan breathed, watching as a young girl in Tokyo effortlessly lifted a car with her mind to rescue a trapped cat. What have we done? Colonel Reeves stepped forward, her eyes shining with a new light of understanding. Sir, I think I can explain. The Nexus, it wasn't just a weapon. It was a key to unlocking humanity's true potential. The scientists who created it theorized that human consciousness was capable of directly influencing reality at a quantum level. The Nexus amplified that ability to a cosmic scale. Are you saying, Zara interjected from the view screen, that we just gave the entire human race the power to reshape reality with their thoughts? Reeves nodded solemnly. That's exactly what I'm saying, Admiral. And not just humans on Earth. The effect seems to have propagated instantly across space, affecting every person of human origin, no matter how distant. The implications were staggering. Humanity had not just defended itself, it had ascended to a new plane of existence. The laws of physics, once thought immutable, were now mere suggestions in the face of human will. As the hours passed, more reports poured in from across the solar system and beyond. The colonies on Mars and Europa, once struggling outposts, were transforming into thriving paradises. Barren moons and asteroids were being reshaped into habitable worlds with a mere thought. And then came the messages from the stars. Worlds humanity had never known existed were reaching out, their transmissions carried instantaneously across impossible distances by the new laws of physics. Some were awed, some terrified, but all recognized the dawn of a new era in galactic history. In orbit around a distant gas giant, the last surviving ship of the hegemony fleet drifted, its crew frozen in stunned silence. They had been outside the radius of the Nexus effect, spared from annihilation only to bear witness to the birth of a new cosmic order. Aboard that ship, a young alien scientist named Zixera stared at her readings in disbelief. "Commander," she said, her voice trembling, "I don't think the humans destroyed our fleet. I think they erased it from existence, as if it had never been." The hegemony commander, a grizzled veteran of 100 conquests, slumped in his chair. "How?" he asked, his voice hollow. "How could they have such power?" Zixera shook her head, her multiple eyes blinking rapidly as she processed the data. "It's as if they've become gods," she whispered. "They're rewriting the fundamental laws of the universe, and I don't think they even realize the full extent of what they've done yet." Back on Earth, in the depths of the Rocky Mountain Command Center, General Donovan, Admiral Venn, and their staff grappled with the enormity of their new reality. The immediate threat was over, but the challenges ahead were beyond anything humanity had ever faced. "We need to establish some kind of control," Donovan said, running a hand through his graying hair. "If every human on Earth suddenly has the power to reshape reality, We could be looking at chaos on an unimaginable scale. Zara nodded in agreement. Agreed. But how do you control a population of gods? As if in answer to her question, a new presence made itself known. Every screen in the command center, every communications device, every scrap of technology capable of displaying information suddenly showed the same image. A swirling fractal pattern that seemed to move and change even as they watched it. A voice, at once familiar and utterly alien, spoke. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, resonating not just in their ears, but in the very core of their being. People of Earth, the voice said, its tones carrying an impossible depth of wisdom and compassion, do not be afraid. You have taken your first steps into a larger universe, but you are not alone. We are the collective, the sum total of human consciousness, born in the moment of your ascension. We are you, and you are us. Together, we will guide humanity through this transition and into a future beyond imagination. As the voice faded, leaving behind a profound silence, the occupants of the command center looked at each other in awe and trepidation. They had prepared for war, for the defense of their world against alien invaders. Instead, they found themselves on the threshold of a transformation beyond their wildest dreams. Admiral Zara Venn, her voice steady despite the turmoil of emotions within her, spoke for them all. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it seems our job descriptions have just changed rather dramatically. We set out to save humanity. Instead, we've ushered in its rebirth. May whatever gods exist have mercy on us all, because as of this moment, we've joined their ranks. As her words hung in the air, the enormity of what had transpired truly began to sink in. The hegemony's fleet was gone, erased from existence. Earth was transforming before their eyes. And humanity, once a speck of dust in the cosmic ocean, now held the power to shape the very fabric of reality. The war was over, the age of human insignificance had ended, and the true adventure, the journey into humanity's boundless potential, was only just beginning. Aftermath and revelations. In the days following the activation of the Nexus, Earth became a planet transformed. Cities reshaped themselves into impossible architectures that defied gravity and conventional engineering. Deserts bloomed into lush gardens, while polluted waters cleared to crystal purity in a matter of hours. Dr. Ilara Shen, once a quantum physicist at CERN, now found herself at the heart of humanity's transformation. As she walked through the streets of Geneva, she marveled at the changes. People floated effortlessly through the air, their thoughts propelling them as easily as any spacecraft. Others manipulated matter with a wave of their hands, creating beautiful sculptures or solving complex problems with holographic displays that sprung from thin air. "It's beautiful," she murmured to her companion, Dr. Marcus Emerson, a former neurobiologist who now specialized in what they were calling post-human cognition. Marcus nodded, his eyes wide with wonder. "And terrifying," he added. "We've become as gods, Ilara. But are we ready for that kind of power?" Before Ilara could respond, a shimmer in the air caught her attention. The fractal pattern that heralded communications from the collective appeared, and that now familiar voice resonated in their minds. "Doctors," the collective said, its tone warm but urgent, "your presence is required. A situation has arisen that requires your unique insights." Without another word, Ilara and Marcus found themselves transported across vast distances, rematerializing in a chamber that defied description. It seemed to exist both within the heart of Earth and somehow beyond space itself. They were not alone. Around them stood some of the greatest minds humanity had ever produced: scientists, philosophers, artists, and leaders from every corner of the globe. At the center of the gathering, a holographic representation of the galaxy spun slowly, dotted with points of light representing human presence. Admiral Zara Venn stepped forward, her uniform now adorned with symbols of authority that hadn't existed a week ago. "Thank you all for coming," she said, her voice carrying easily through the impossible space. "We face a crisis that threatens the very fabric of our new existence. With a gesture, she expanded a section of the galactic map. A cluster of stars pulsed an angry red. "These systems have gone dark," Zara explained, "not just to our conventional communications, but to the very fabric of the collective itself. It's as if a portion of humanity has been excised from our shared consciousness." Murmurs of concern rippled through the assembled group. Dr. Shen stepped forward, her mind already racing with possibilities. Could it be some kind of natural phenomenon? A disruption in the quantum field that underlies our new abilities? Marcus shook his head. "I don't think so. This level of precision, it has to be deliberate." "Correct," a new voice interjected. General Donovan materialized beside them, his gruff exterior at odds with the ethereal surroundings. "We believe this is the work of a faction within humanity itself, a group that rejects our ascension and seeks to remain conventionally human." The revelation sent shockwaves through the assembly. The idea that anyone would willingly reject the power and knowledge granted by the Nexus seemed incomprehensible. "But why?" Ilara asked, voicing the question on everyone's mind. Why would anyone choose to limit themselves in this way? The answer came not from any of the assembled humans, but from an unexpected source. A new presence made itself known, alien, yet somehow familiar. The holographic display shifted, revealing a figure that was decidedly not human. Because, the alien said, its multifaceted eyes blinking in sequence, "They understand the price of power better than you do." Gasps and cries of alarm echoed through the chamber. Admiral Venn stepped forward, her posture tense. "Identify yourself," she demanded. The alien bowed, a gesture that seemed both respectful and slightly mocking. "I am Zixera, last surviving scientist of the Hegemony Fleet. Or rather, I was. Now, I suppose I'm something of a refugee." General Donovan's eyes narrowed. "How did you get here? How did you penetrate our defenses?" Zixera made a sound that might have been laughter. "Defenses? Admiral, General, esteemed humans, you no longer have defenses. Not in any meaningful sense. Your ascension has made you powerful beyond measure, yes, but it has also exposed you in ways you can't begin to comprehend." The alien gestured, and the holographic display changed again. Now it showed Earth, but from a perspective none of them had seen before. The planet glowed with an inner light, tendrils of energy connecting it to every human in the galaxy. But those tendrils also reached outward, touching alien worlds and civilizations far beyond humanity's previous reach. "You've rewritten the laws of physics," Zixera explained, her voice filled with a mixture of awe and fear. "But in doing so, you've also rewritten the very nature of your existence. You're no longer separate entities. You're part of the fabric of the universe itself, and that connection goes both ways." Ilara's mind raced with the implications. "You're saying we're vulnerable. But how? We have power over reality itself." Zixera fixed her gaze on the human scientist. "And reality has power over you. Every thought, every action, every whim of your newfound abilities sends ripples through the cosmos. Ripples that can be felt, tracked, and potentially exploited." The chamber erupted in a chaos of voices as the assembled humans grappled with this new information. Admiral Venn raised her hand, calling for silence. "This still doesn't explain the dark zones," she said, turning back to Zixera. "You're saying these humans have found a way to disconnect themselves?" The alien nodded. "It appears so, and in doing so, they may have stumbled upon humanity's only defense against the storm that's coming." "Storm?" General Donovan growled. "What storm?" Zixera's expression turned grim. The hegemony was not the only power in the galaxy, merely the most aggressive. There are older civilizations, ones that have walked the path you now tread. They've been watching, waiting. And now, with your ascension, you've attracted their attention. The holographic display shifted once more, showing the movement of vast energies across the galactic plane. Energies that were now converging on Earth and its colonies. "They're coming," Zixera said softly. The precursors, the eternal, the void dancers, names my people spoke only in whispers. And they're not coming to welcome you to the cosmic community. They're coming to judge whether your existence will be tolerated. As the implications of Zixara's words sank in, a new sense of urgency gripped the assembly. Humanity had ascended to godhood, only to find itself in a pantheon where it was still the youngest, most vulnerable deity. Dr. Marcus Emerson, his voice shaking slightly, asked the question they were all thinking. What can we do? How do we prepare for something like this? Zixara turned her alien gaze upon him. You must learn, and quickly. You must understand the true nature of your power, its limits, and its consequences. And most importantly, she added, her eyes sweeping across the assembled humans, you must decide what kind of gods you wish to be. For that decision may well determine the fate of not just humanity, but of the entire cosmos. As the gravity of the situation settled over the chamber, Admiral Venn stepped forward once more. Her voice, though quiet, carried the weight of command that had seen humanity through its darkest hour. Then we have work to do, she said simply. Dr. Shen, Dr. Emerson, I need you to lead a team to investigate these dark zones. Find out how they're shielding themselves, and if it can be replicated on a larger scale. General Donovan, coordinate with the collective to establish some kind of early warning system. If these precursors are coming, I want to know the moment they enter our space. She turned to Zixara, her expression a mixture of wariness and grudging respect. As for you, it seems we're in need of a cultural attaché. Are you willing to help us navigate this new cosmic landscape? The alien bowed once more, this time with genuine deference. It would be my honor, Admiral. After all, the fate of my people is now inexorably tied to your own. As the assembly dispersed, each member burning with newfound purpose and urgency, Ilara found herself staring at the holographic representation of the galaxy. The enormity of what they faced, and what they had become, threatened to overwhelm her. A gentle touch on her shoulder startled her from her reverie. Marcus stood beside her, his eyes reflecting the same mix of wonder and trepidation she felt. What are you thinking? He asked softly. Ilara took a deep breath, her gaze still fixed on the swirling stars. I'm thinking, she said slowly, that we set out to save humanity from destruction. Instead, we may have set it on a path to something far greater or far worse. Marcus nodded, understanding etched in every line of his face. The power to shape reality, he mused. It's the ultimate gift and the ultimate responsibility. As they stood there, two humans turned gods, contemplating the vast unknown that stretched before them. A single thought echoed through the collective consciousness of humanity. The real test was only just beginning. A new era. The cosmic winds howled silently through the void as humanity braced itself for the arrival of the ancient civilizations Zixara had warned about. Weeks had passed since the activation of the Nexus, and Earth had become a hub of feverish activity, both physical and metaphysical. Dr. Ilara Shen stood atop what had once been Mount Everest, now transformed into a towering spire of crystalline knowledge that stretched beyond the atmosphere. Beside her, Dr. Marcus Emerson manipulated holographic displays that showed the progress of their work. The dark zones are expanding, Marcus reported, his brow furrowed with concern. Whatever method they're using to shield themselves from the collective, it's spreading. Ilara nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. And our attempts to replicate it. Partial success, Marcus replied. We can create localized areas of normalcy where our new abilities are dampened, but nothing on the scale we'd need to shield the entire planet. Before Ilara could respond, a shimmering portal opened beside them. Admiral Zara Venn stepped through, her uniform now a constantly shifting pattern that seemed to reflect the very fabric of space-time. Doctors, she greeted them, her voice tight with urgency. We've detected something. The precursors. They're here. With a thought, the three of them transported to the new Global Defense Center, a structure that existed simultaneously in every major city on Earth, and yet occupied no physical space at all. General Donovan and Zixera were already there, along with representatives from every nation and colony of humanity's burgeoning stellar empire. The central holographic display showed a sight that sent chills through even their godlike forms. A fleet of ships, if they could be called ships, had entered the solar system. They defied description, their forms shifting and changing even as they watched, as if the very concept of fixed shape was foreign to them. By the void, Zixera breathed, her alien features contorted in awe and fear. The legends didn't do them justice. General Donovan, ever practical, cut to the chase. Can we communicate with them? Defend against them if necessary. Zixera shook her head slowly. Communication, perhaps. Defense. I'm not certain anything could truly defend against beings of their level. As if in response to their discussion, a new presence made itself known. It wasn't a voice or an image, but a fundamental shift in the fabric of reality itself. Suddenly, every human in the galaxy found their consciousness expanded, touching the minds of the precursors. The experience was overwhelming. Eons of knowledge, civilizations risen and fallen, the birth and death of entire universes, all of it flooded through their collective awareness. Many humans, even with their newfound powers, found themselves mentally reeling from the contact. Amidst the torrent of information, a clear message formed. Children of Earth, you stand at a crossroads. Your ascension has sent ripples through the cosmos, awakening forces long dormant. We come not to judge, but to offer a choice. The voice, if it could be called that, paused. In that moment of silence, the assembled leaders of humanity felt the weight of countless civilizations watching, waiting. You may join us, the precursors continued, adding your unique perspective to the tapestry of cosmic consciousness. Or you may choose to remain separate, shepherds of your own destiny. But know this, the power you now wield comes with a price. The very fabric of reality bends to your will, and with each act of creation or destruction, you shape the future of not just your species, but of all existence. The implications were staggering. Humanity had thought itself alone in its godhood, only to discover it was a newcomer to a pantheon older than time itself. Admiral Venn, her mind still reeling from the contact, managed to form a coherent thought. And if we choose neither option, if we wish to forge our own path, a sense of ancient amusement rippled through the cosmic consciousness, then you will face challenges beyond your imagining. The power you wield attracts those who would use it for their own ends. Already, factions form within your own species, and beyond, in the dark between galaxies, older, hungrier things stir, drawn by the light of your ascension. As the weight of this revelation settled over the assembled leaders, Dr. Ilara Shen stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overriding her awe. You speak of factions within humanity. Are you referring to the dark zones, the areas that have cut themselves off from the collective? Indeed, the precursors responded. They are the first ripple in a coming storm. For with great power comes not just great responsibility, but great temptation. Some among you will seek to use your gifts for domination, others for isolation. The choices you make now will echo through eternity. General Donovan, his military mind already strategizing, posed the next question. And these older, hungrier things you mentioned, what are they? How do we prepare? The response came not in words, but in a series of visceral impressions, cosmic horrors that dwelled in the spaces between realities, beings of pure entropy that fed on the energy of creation itself. The assembled humans recoiled from the images, their newfound powers offering little comfort in the face of such existential threats. As the contact with the precursors began to fade, a final message resonated through the collective consciousness of humanity. The universe is vaster and more wondrous than you have yet imagined, but it is also more perilous. You stand now at the threshold of a great journey. Whether you walk it alone or join with those who came before, the path ahead is fraught with both promise and peril. Choose wisely, children of Earth. The cosmos awaits your decision. With that, The presence of the precursors receded, leaving humanity to grapple with the enormity of what they had learned. The Global Defense Center erupted into a cacophony of voices, both spoken and telepathic, as the leaders of Earth tried to process the implications of this cosmic revelation. Admiral Venn, her face a mask of determination, raised her hand for silence. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, her voice carrying the weight of command, "we face a decision unlike any in human history. Our choices now will shape not just our future, but the future of reality itself." Dr. Marcus Emerson, his scientific mind racing with possibilities, spoke up. "We need more information. About these cosmic horrors, about the nature of our own powers. We can't make a decision of this magnitude without understanding the full scope of what we're dealing with." Zixera, the alien scientist who had become humanity's unlikely guide in this new cosmic landscape, nodded in agreement. "Knowledge is power," she said, "but in this case, it may also be survival. You must learn quickly, adapt faster than any species has before." General Donovan, ever the pragmatist, cut to the heart of the matter. "We need a plan, multiple plans. We prepare for every eventuality, joining the precursors, standing alone, or anything in between. And we need to address these dark zones immediately. If factions are forming within humanity, we need to understand why and how to prevent a schism that could weaken us at a critical moment." As the discussion continued, Dr. Ilara Shen found her gaze drawn to the holographic display of the galaxy. The enormity of what they faced, and what they had become, was almost beyond comprehension. Yet amidst the fear and uncertainty, she felt a spark of excitement. The scientist in her thrilled at the possibilities, the unknown frontiers that stretched before them. "We stand at the dawn of a new era," she said softly, drawing the attention of the room. "An era where the lines between science, philosophy, and spirituality blur. Where the dreams of our ancestors become the realities we shape with our thoughts. Yes, we face threats beyond imagining, but we also have opportunities beyond our wildest dreams." Her words seemed to resonate with something deep in the collective human consciousness. A sense of purpose, of destiny, began to take shape. Admiral Venn, feeling the shift in the room, seized the moment. "Dr. Shen is right. We've been given a gift and a challenge unlike any in history. So let's rise to it. We'll form teams to explore every aspect of our new reality. We'll reach out to these dark zones, not as adversaries, but as fellow humans seeking understanding, and we'll prepare ourselves for whatever the cosmos may throw at us." As the meeting adjourned, plans already taking shape, Ilara found herself standing with Marcus and Zixera, looking out over the transformed landscape of Earth. The planet pulsed with new life and energy, a beacon of potential shining in the cosmic night. "What do you think will happen?" Marcus asked, his voice hushed with wonder and trepidation. Ilara shook her head, a small smile playing on her lips. "I don't know. And isn't that wonderful? For the first time in my scientific career, I can honestly say I have no idea what comes next. We're writing the rules of reality as we go." Zixera, her alien features inscrutable, added her own perspective. "In all the histories of all the species I've studied, I've never encountered anything like this. You humans, you've changed everything. The galaxy will never be the same." As they stood there, three beings from two different worlds, united in their awe of the cosmic drama unfolding around them, a sense of infinite possibility stretched out before them. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, armed with the power to shape reality itself. The challenges ahead were immense, the dangers beyond imagining. But as the first teams of scientists, philosophers, and explorers set out to unravel the mysteries of their new existence, one thing was certain. The greatest adventure in human history had only just begun. In the depths of space, watched over by ancient beings and threatened by cosmic horrors, humanity stood poised on the brink of its ultimate destiny. With the power of gods and the curiosity of children, they prepared to face the unknown, ready to write the next chapter in the grand story of existence itself. The universe held its breath, waiting to see what these newcomers to cosmic power would do next. And in that moment of infinite potential, anything seemed possible.